Hey, Obias checking in here. So I decided to see if Elden Ring was worth all the hype and praise since Night Rain was announced, and I didn't think it was possible for a video game to test you mentally like this. I usually play games on the hardest setting because I like a challenge, but this joint was a lot more difficult than it was fun. And even though I didn't gain anything by beating it, for some odd reason, I feel like I accomplished something great. At times, the game had me rage quitting like low tier god, but the thought of being a quitter like him and wasting the $55 I dropped for the game haunted me at night, so the next day I would try to push through. I usually beat games in a couple of days or weeks. It really depends on how much of my free time I dedicate to them. This was my first FromSoft and Souls-like game though, and it took me over a month to beat all the major bosses because I constantly had to look for walkthroughs for their locations and ways to get stronger online by finding talismans and powerful incantations. Most bosses are overpowered and bully you into multiple battles that force you to learn their moveset. I literally lost 3 days worth of sleep trying to body that rotten thought Milena because of all of her spontaneous movements and unfair deadly attack combos. I decided to start my journey as a vagabond and focused on leveling up faith-based attacks. Overall, my favorite incantations were the Black Flame because it had an afterburn effect, and Flame of the Fell God for its power and because it looked cool. Later on, I rescaled my character though so that I could use some spells too. My favorite weapons were the Moonveil Katana for its speed and the Gargoyle Black Blade because it released a black flame, but getting that sword off of that gargoyle was a mission that took me about 50 attempts because it's bigger than the screen and flies around the battlefield while attacking. At first, combat in this game is hella difficult and takes time to get used to since most enemies can finish you off with minimal effort, so I used a strong shield and had powerful spirits back me up. But most enemies are so strong they can break through your shield's defense and can attack through your attacks to dust you off. After about 100 deaths, I found a pet dragon that helped me level up and farm ruins. For the most part, we played Catch the Flame, but I also used it to practice my combat. The combat is next level because enemies have locked on attacks that connect unless you time your dodges perfectly. The autolock is so bogus that some enemies can literally glide to you or do a full 360 without looking at you and still land an attack. Also, it was a constant battle with the camera while fighting huge enemies, and at times it felt like the game was just straight up cheating because of the obvious input reading. This is highlighted when you fight the Godskin duo who throw black flames whenever you use a flask. The game also has a few glitches and bad gameplay mechanics. The worst is that enemy attacks can glitch through walls and connect. It's so bad that at times enemies can send whole fists and swords through pillars and walls that still connect you. Enemies move swiftly around the battlefield while your character is literally tarnished with slow movement that benefits the enemies. Also, this is the first game I've played where you have to dodge towards an enemy to avoid their attacks. Boss fights are supposed to be a fun, challenging highlight of a game, and they are until you get dusted over 10 times by the same damn boss. Then it feels like an annoying task. Some bosses even have what seems to be unavoidable attacks, so you need a real attack strategy and learn to manage your flasks or you won't get any farther. I got so frustrated with going to war with regular enemies that I just started riding past them to avoid confrontation, and it felt like a waste cause I wanted to explore more of the game, but I got trolled to death so many times, it didn't seem worth it. The worst is when enemy attacks knock you off your feet and they keep attacking until they finish you off, or when an off-screen enemy unexpectedly just jumps in and dusts you off at your weakest moment. This makes getting back runes you lost feel impossible at times. Platforming in this game is also hella bogus cause you can't climb or grab onto anything you jump towards, which makes no sense. I understand why people like this game though. The character customization is dope, there's few restrictions on how to play, and if you look for the right talismans, spells, or incantations, you can really become a demigod. But Elden Ring should have came with a difficulty setting. When it comes down to it, this game ain't for everybody, and that's why not everybody has been able to beat all the bosses and actually complete the game. I watched a lot of gameplay of players who were able to smoke bosses by finding talismans and incantations that piped up their characters, but only experienced players who spent hundreds of hours playing and know how to navigate the map can actually pull that off. Since I play video games for fun, not to be pushed to my breaking point, there's no way I'm getting the DLC, but I might check out Night Rain depending on how that looks. Shout out to all the Elden Ring fans out there. I'ma run it 3 mics. Y'all let me know what you thought about the video in the comments below. Also, let me know what your favorite weapons, spells, and incantations are. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm gonna be dropping movie or video game content every week, so lock in, and I'm gonna get up with y'all on the next video, alright? Holla at me.
You hypnotized off the hatred. Deep down, you don't wanna see us make it. Deep down, you'd rather see us in the basement.